Welcome back to the channel, fellas. Today we're doing South Carolina, starting off ranked number 3 in the country. Let's check out what happened in 2019-2020 for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Their recruiting class is absolute fire. Joe Thornton, 79 overall wide receiver, top recruit for South Carolina. And as always, we go to the bottom and we wish Lawrence Walker good luck at seeing the field. 57 overall, strong safety. Of course, Joe Thornton, a pretty great recruit. This season is absolutely ridiculous. Finalists for the Heisman. They rush for 2,000 yards. We see all of these awards, couple school records ranked in the top 5. Like, South Carolina 2019 is going to be your year, man. Let's check out the conference standings. Georgia does win the SEC East. South Carolina 10-2, same record, but they lose 2 games in conference. Georgia 7-1, South Carolina 6-2. What happened? They win their first game. They lose to Georgia in a very close game, 24-27. Then they go on a long freaking win streak, and they beat UNC, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Auburn, and an FCS team. Then they lose to Florida 18-42. Ouch. They beat Mizzou, they shellac them, and they beat number 14 Clemson to end the year. So South Carolina goes through the gauntlet and comes out 10-2. Alabama and Georgia will be facing off in the SEC championship, but South Carolina, number 9 overall ranked. That's a pretty good season. You can't really fault them for losing the 2 games they did. You'd like to keep it a little closer in your loss. They only lose by 3 to Georgia, though. That's a pretty solid game. Alabama, number 1 overall. Michigan, Penn State, SMU, and Florida State all undefeated in receiving first place votes. Then we got Stanford and Oklahoma on the outside looking in, with Utah, South Carolina, and Georgia. Wow, this is probably the best top 10 I've ever seen. I've never seen 5 undefeated teams and then multiple teams with 1 and 2 losses, all in the top 10, all solid teams. We see UCF here, you got Hawaii, Northern Illinois, and USC sneaking in there at 8-4. But wow, 5 undefeated teams. What's the BCS say? They say Alabama, Penn State, and Michigan, and SMU are the top 4 teams, with Florida State on the outside looking in. South Carolina drops to 10. Georgia just edges them out there at number 9. But the BCS has a lot of work to do here with so many undefeated teams. In the Heisman race, we see Holly, Francois, Williams from South Carolina, Evans from Michigan, and Harrion from Georgia. Lots of good running backs this year. I expect to see a lot of rushing yards. And we do see Holly winning the Heisman. Almost 2,000 total vote points, 503 first place votes, over 2,100 yards on the ground with 24 touchdowns and a handful of receptions. Holly, congratulations on a killer season. I'm going to be keeping my eye on him in the real games this year. Hawaii wins a national championship, and South Carolina facing Ohio State, number 9 versus number 16, 9-3 Ohio State versus 10-2 South Carolina in the Capital One Bowl in Orlando, Florida. So Michigan beats Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship. Florida State beats Miami. Utah beats Stanford. SMU, Penn State don't play this week. Alabama loses to Georgia, drops from number 1 to number 6. Oklahoma's idle. Georgia obviously beat Alabama. South Carolina's idle. And Stanford lost to Utah, drops to number 10. This is just a very interesting top 10 here. Like, I would love to see this in real life. 4 undefeated teams, the unexpected Florida State and SMU undefeated teams. No unanimous number 1 overall. The BCS has its work cut out for it. It looks like it's going to be Michigan and Penn State for the national championship. Florida State, SMU on the outside. If only there were a playoff. Jake Bentley breaks the school record, 38 passing touchdowns. Congratulations on beating your own record, buddy. Let's check out what happened in the bowl game. South Carolina loses to Ohio State, 10-3 for both teams. First quarter ends up tied 7-7. Halftime, South Carolina leads 10-7. Ohio State comes out in true Buckeye fashion, scores 14 in the third, and then wins the fourth quarter 28-16. Sorry, Gamecocks. Ohio State, they're just a tough team to beat. In the game, we see total offense goes actually South Carolina's way. They out-rush and out-throw Ohio State, but end up losing the game. Third down conversion, better for Ohio State. Red zone, Ohio State, 100%. That's hard to beat. There was one interception for South Carolina, and the time of possession goes South Carolina's way. But Ohio State wins the game. South Carolina, what a good season, though. 10-3. I think all the Gamecock fans would love a 10-3 season. Let's check out what happened in the top 25 in the national championship. We do see Michigan 14-0, the only undefeated team this year. We started with 5. We're down to 1. They beat Penn State in the national championship 38-35. Let's check out what happened. This is not how you get there. Let me get there real quick for you. But let's check out the national championship. Michigan beats their own rival, Penn State, from the Big Ten in the national championship in overtime, no less. 3-0 in the first quarter. So it's 3-9 in the halftime. So Michigan leads. Penn State comes out and scores a touchdown, but Michigan ties it up in the fourth quarter. Very clutch. And then both teams score in overtime. So we go to multiple overtimes here. Penn State 11, Michigan 14 in overtime. So we see a field goal, touchdown, and Michigan gets a game-winning touchdown. 38-35, Michigan beats Penn State. They end the year number 4, Michigan number 1, obviously. Total offense, Michigan just wallops Penn State offensively. Both team rushed for over 200 yards. Michigan almost 300 through the air. Then we see some pretty good stats here, but Michigan, what the heck, 3 turnovers? How do you win with 3 turnovers, Michigan? Time of possession, Penn State, but with overtime, you know, it kind of changes the game a little bit. So, actually 17 penalties against Michigan, so not a clean win. I don't even understand how they won. I wish I could have watched that game. Michigan wins the national championship in a weird way. Bentley, over 3,000 yards on the season, good for 12th in the country. Congrats, man. Williams, actually over 1,400 yards, 25th in the country in rushing. You see Holly up there with almost 2,300. Heisman winner Holly from Hawaii. Killer season. Smith, 750 yards, receiving, 87th in the country. Green, 35 solo tackles, so all of the defensive guys were involved. It wasn't just one guy carrying the team. Sterling, 7.5 sacks, pretty solid year, top 20. Gibson, 4 interceptions. But wow, Parker from Kansas State, 9 interceptions. That's something you don't see every day. That's a killer season for someone in the defensive field. P. White, I don't know if it's Pat, Philip, what. Good from 54, top 5 in the country. You always respect when a kicker can do that. But that's going to be it for me. Thanks for sticking around. If you like the video, please like it, comment, and subscribe. I love feedback. I'm out. Peace.